Oh, hey, what up? We're here at the Botanic Garden, and today we're going to be talking about anger management. Now, anger is an emotion inside your body that can be used for constructive or deconstructive action. There's a difference between anger and aggression. Anger is an emotion, and aggression is a behavior that others can observe. Uncontrolled anger can have negative repercussions in your life, like health, such as strokes, high blood pressure, and heart disease. It affects social relationships and increases the likelihood of you falling into drugs, like taking sleeping pills, tranquilizers, and drinking alcohol to try to calm the tense physical symptoms of anger. Now, if you don't learn how to get a grip on your anger, it can lead you to problems with the law. Today, I'm going to be teaching you the 7 proven ways on how to effectively manage your anger. Now, if you're not ready to make a change on your anger behavior for reasons having too many commitments, lack of motivation, or you simply can't weigh the cost of the potential benefit increase of solving your anger, then it's best to come back to this video when you're completely certain that you're ready to make a change. But if controlling your anger has been a major issue in your life, and you know that you can't take the risk of it causing further damage, then pay attention to the information that is about to be disclosed right now. Alright, now before we dive into our 7 proven ways on how to manage our anger, we're going to talk about anger episode. In our anger episode, the first thing on our list are anger triggers. So triggers are everyday situations that involve a challenge to your idea, behavior. It's a disagreement, a struggle about what to do, a disappointment. Now, many times there's stress, threat, unfairness, loss of potential loss that's involved. Now, there's many things that can set, or people that can set the stage for your anger trigger, but the main thing you want to be concerned about is an unexpected, unwanted, negative action by another person who is well known, liked, or loved. Alright, the next thing on our bucket list is evaluation. Now, the way we judge the intentions of others makes all the difference in whether or not we get mad or angry. Now, anger emerges when something such as teasing statements are made, which can be done to strengthen relationships, to flirt, to pass time, to play with each other, and to solve bad feelings. But it can also be perceived as negative, disrespectful, and demeaning. Alright, now to understand how you experience your anger, ask yourself the following questions. Number 1, anger intensity. From a range from 1 to 100, where am I at? Number 2, duration. How long does the anger stay in my body? Number 3, sensations. What sensations am I feeling in my body? Everyone has a different way of expressing their anger, so the following list addresses which anger expression best fits you. Number 1, holding anger in. Number 2, indirect anger expression, such as destroying things. Number 3, outward expression, like verbal, physical, and gestures. Number 4, alcohol and drug use. Number 5, avoidance. And number 6, attempting to resolve the situation yourself. It's good to understand the outcome of your anger episode. So ask yourself, what is the result of your anger episode? Good or bad? How is it going to affect you in the long run? Alright, now we're going to go on to proven way number 1, which entails avoid and escape. Avoid and escape is used as a temporary technique before you learn how to deal with your anger. These techniques are not going to help you in the long run, but are there to help you break the patterns of behavior that become automatic. Avoidance refers to intentionally not joining in with situations and people where you're likely to become angry, and escape refers to intentionally leaving a situation once you notice that your anger is building. Planned avoidance. Identify a situation that has previously led you to become angry and plan to avoid it. Responding indirectly. With some thought, you can become very creative in finding better times and ways to respond to a problem than with an immediate face-to-face response. For example, texting, emails, phone calls, etc. Alright, so the first technique under escape is timeouts. There are clearly times when it's best to walk away from a disagreement. As your anger gets worse, continuing discussions might become unproductive and even damaging. You can say something like, I don't like where this is headed right now. Why don't we each take the rest of the afternoon to think, and we can try to talk this out later tonight. Plan escape. If you know in advance that dealing with somebody is likely to make you angry, then it makes sense to put a time constraint on how much time you spend with that person. To use this escape strategy, you have to anticipate situations and where you're likely to become angry and have a plan to leave early. Distraction. Distraction simply means becoming absorbed in non-anger related and preferably enjoyable activities. Proven way number 2, finding new solutions to social problems. So step number 1, clearly identify the situation and find a solution to the problem by using the when-then format. For the when, tell us what you did, what was done. For the then, tell us how the other person reacted, what was said, and what you thought. Once the trigger when and the outcome then is clearly identified, the next step is to come up with multiple solutions. By multiple solutions, we mean several options, reactions, and paths that are there to assist you when you attempt to solve the problem. So come up with a list that includes a full range of action, from ineffective to effective. We recommend you come up with at least 5 reactions to a problem. Step number 2, assess the probable outcome of each response. Evaluate how each path or situation will play out. What will be the end outcome if you took each path? Short-term outcomes are those that seem beneficial initially but impact your relationship later on. Long-term outcomes are those that unfold over time. The effects can last for hours, days, months, or even years. Step number 4, implementation and evaluation. Carry out the planned response and evaluation and see what happens. Proven way number 4 is changing the way you think about your life. Step number 1, develop awareness and skepticism of your own thinking. First, most of us are unaware of our thoughts, so start developing awareness of your own thinking. A second problem in the way you think is that you and most everybody else take your thoughts to be the truth. That means you have confidence in the way you think. You believe that your judgments will lead you to good decisions and healthy behaviors. But the truth is that your thoughts are a product of your own history and learning and may or may not reflect the truth. Step number 2, identify what you think when you're feeling angry. The following 6 thought loops are amongst the most common when you're feeling anger. Awfulizing has to do with exaggerating the consequences or the level of hardship associated with a difficult situation. For example, at the time, I thought this was one of the worst things that could be happening to me. Low frustration tolerating is your tendency to underestimate your ability to deal with discomfort or misfortune. For example, I thought I couldn't handle or deal with this situation. Demandingness is taking how you want others to behave, how do you like the world to be, and making these wants into unbendable rules. For example, I thought the other person should have acted differently. Negative global rating of others is a strong tendency to overgeneralize about people. You condemn the person for one thing he or she does. For example, I thought the person was bad, worthless, a real asshole. Negative rating of self is when you condemn or blame yourself when things don't go well. For example, deep down, I thought I was less important or worthwhile. Distortion are the incorrect conclusions about the motives, intentions, and behaviors of friends, family members, coworkers, and others. At times, you might see the actions of others as intentionally offensive. Step number 3, correct your common anger thought loops. Place offline with moderate evaluations. Label hassles in a more moderate manner. Usually, inconvenience, unfortunate, bad, or difficult are better descriptions of the troubles you're facing that have solutions. Increase frustration tolerance. It's important to see life's difficulties as manageable instead of whining and moaning. It's okay to say you truly don't like it and wish it didn't happen, but it's less useful to say you can't stand or deal with it. Giving up demandingness and becoming more flexible. Changes in this area will require you to replace words like must, should, or has to with language that's less rigid. For example, it's perfectly acceptable for you to say that you would like your boss to treat you with respect, but very different to say that your boss must treat you with respect. It's okay to say that you like things to be different, but less helpful to insist they be different. Replacing negative labels with acceptance. It's easy to make exaggerated judgments of others when they do things you dislike. To change this pattern, you're going to have to replace negative labels with more precise descriptions of the person's specific behavior. It's still okay to view others' behavior as bad, but refrain from making global judgments of those people. Accepting your own fallibility. Becoming more accepting of your own behaviors requires that you replace harsh labels of yourself as a total person with descriptions that portray your behavior in a less extreme way. Reduce distortion and becoming more accurate when interpreting the unwanted behaviors of others. To change this pattern, you're going to have to resist the urge to jump to conclusions about why others' behavior is crummy, and to consider an alternative explanation. Consider the facts, the evidence related to the situation, and come up with better alternatives. If you don't know the facts, suspend your judgment until you have more information. And the final step is step number 4, practice the new thinking in your everyday life. Alright, now we're going to be moving on to proven way number 4, and that's forgiveness. Now, the reason why you would want to forgive someone is because when you don't, you're caught in recalling, rehearsing past adversities and holding grudges. You might have thoughts of blame and fantasies of revenge. These thoughts lead you to remain in the role of victim since you continue to focus on how someone else hurt you. Since your emotional energy is in the past, you remain powerless. Instead of forgiving, taking back control, but without forgetting what happened. The process of forgiving. Step number 1, uncover anger. Develop a full awareness of the anger triggering events and a complete understanding of the anger you're experiencing. Acknowledge your thoughts and feelings without acting on them. Step number 2, deciding to forgive. No matter the situation was that triggered your anger, there's no benefit that's going to come from allowing it to continue. So ask yourself the following questions to facilitate your forgiveness. What might happen to my anger if those thoughts of revenge disappeared? If I decided to make a conscious decision to forgive, what benefits might I achieve? How much time and effort does it take to keep the anger going, and does it really help me? Step number 3, defining forgiveness. Forgiveness is a process of untangling the relationship among your thoughts, actions, and responses of your body. Forgiving someone for what they did doesn't mean forgetting what they did. It doesn't mean accepting it, excusing it, defending it, or being neutral about their nasty action. It doesn't mean being passive and taking no action to make things better. Rather, forgiveness requires that you develop a better understanding of the actions of others and taking steps to improve your family life, work life, and overall happiness. Step number 4, understanding why others behave badly. We don't want to release the offender of responsibility. Rather, your goal is to better understand the person and the life factors that led to the offensive behavior, without excusing, forgetting, accepting, or justifying in order to forgive. It's useful to develop empathy and compassion toward the perpetrator whose actions led to your anger. Now, the central goal of this step is to see the perpetrator as a whole person who acted unjustly, in part because of forces of nature, history, and environment. Step number 5, giving something of value to the wrongdoer. We ask you to consider giving a gift to that person. We understand that this step might seem inconceivable, yet by giving something of value to the wrongdoer, you move out of the role of victim and into control of yourself. You move into the role of power, since you're the one considering what kind of gift to give, when to give it, and what to say. This gift doesn't have to be an object, and it doesn't have to be gushy. In fact, it can be symbolic or a simple gesture of goodwill. Proven way number 5, learning to relax. Having a relaxation response will be easily accessed when you are aware or when you're in a state of fight or flight. Typically, the fight or flight mechanism activates in animals when they are being threatened. It can lead to life or death confrontation. In the human world, it is not likely since we have rules and regulations and laws in place. We can bring our disputes to teachers, friends, parents, mediators, lawyers, small claims courts, and so on. For those reasons, we're better off neither fighting nor fleeing. Rather, the best goal is to seek a negotiation solution that's fair and mutually beneficial. This does not mean you won't feel the tense emotions of fighting or fleeing, so learning to relax comes in play here. Use progressive muscle relaxation, or PMR. PMR is a conscious, self-controlled strategy to help you relax by tensing and releasing various muscle groups like your legs, arms, shoulders, feet, face muscles, and so on. To use this technique, you're gonna have to tense the muscle group for 5 seconds and release for 10 to 15 seconds. Continue doing this for each muscle group. Do this every day until you're able to relax and able to control the muscle tension quickly. Other experiences that can give you a sense of relaxation are yoga and exercise, simple deep breathing, prayer and chanting, mindfulness meditation, nature experiences, hot water baths, and massages. Proven way number 6, expose yourself and react less. Exposing yourself to your anger trigger is necessary to overcome your anger. It has to be done when you're completely devoted to want to get better. If you're not completely devoted, you will not improve and even suffer negative repercussions due to your lack of control over your anger. So know when you're ready. Steps of exposure. Step number 1, create an anger imagery scene. Pick an anger trigger, place yourself in the scene, and make the scene come to life by describing everything in detail, like your surroundings, people, colors, mood, tone of voice, clothing, etc. Step number 2, practice relaxation in response to your anger scene. As the scene is unfolding, you're naturally going to feel some anger. Allow it to roll, and once that has peaked, use the PMR technique to release the tension and arousal. Step number 3, develop a coping statement. A coping statement is there to replace beliefs that increase your anger with those that lessen your anger. By looking back at the set of inflammatory thoughts that are common to increase your anger, like awfulizing, low frustration tolerance, demandingness, negative rating of others, negative rating of self, and distortion. Choose the one that pertains to the scene and create an alternative belief that will be your coping statement. Step number 4, practice a new coping statement in response to the scene. Imagine the situation is actually happening. Allow any feelings of anger to emerge. As you begin to notice the feelings of anger, stop, review the scene, shift your focus, and practice a new coping statement several times to yourself silently. An anger trigger can also come from what the other person is saying, like a verbal statement, also known as verbal barbs. The following steps are going to help you stay calm when you're the target of someone else's anger. Step number 1, develop verbal barbs. Make a list of 5 negative statements that the person would say and with what tonality they would deliver each statement with. Audio record yourself saying each statement with the right tonality and give yourself a pause in between each statement to practice relaxation and your new coping statement. Step number 2, practice relaxation in response to the barb statement. Play your recording and listen to the first statement. Focus on taking relaxing and calming breaths. Tense and release the muscle groups. Resume your relaxed breathing. Continue doing the same for all 5 statements and repeat the process 5 more times. Make it a habit for the next few days. Step number 3, practice your new coping statement. Listen to your recording once again. This time, however, practice your new coping statement during the pauses. As before, run through the list 5 times for each practice session. Exposure in real life. Expose yourself to an anger trigger once you're ready. If you're not, keep practicing the technique. The goal is to stay calm under these anger situations and avoid any physical aggression. Proven way number 7, expressing your anger in an assertive, productive way. Assertive skills help you express emotional reactions appropriately, stand up for yourself during conflict, and find solutions to problems. How to be assertive. Number 1, understanding the difference between assertive, unassertive, and verbally aggressive responses. Verbal aggression is when you try to take control of the situation by talking powerfully, dishonestly, overplaying your reactions, and neglecting the rights of others. Unassertive, in this way of responding, you neglect your own feelings and desires to please others. You keep your anger in, keep quiet, and avoid conflict. Number 2, understanding your rights in conflict and in disappointing situations, while also appreciating the viewpoints and rights of others. Being assertive means letting others know how you feel, what you don't like, and what you prefer. The goal of acting assertive isn't to win at all costs, but to reduce the conflict and find solutions that are mutually beneficial. Taking the other person's perspective can give you some real insight into a conflict and help you get to solutions. Number 3, developing an assertive lifestyle entails the following list. Practice feeling statements that describe how you feel. Express your desires and preferences. Describe behaviors and situations precisely and without exaggerating. Accept compliments. Get comfortable giving compliments. Practice taking the other person's perspective by using reflective statements. Practice agreeing with others. Practice disagreeing with others. Practice agreeing when you're giving negative feedback. Practice giving negative feedback. All right, guys, make sure you soak up all this information. This is a dense topic, and I'll be seeing you in the next video.